Hello everyone, welcome back to Cyberwhale and I hope you all are doing well. And I also guess that the previous video regarding the you can say the hands-on session of the OWASP top 10 vulnerabilities in web hacking basics is pretty clear to you guys, in which we basically went through all of the modules and we tried some of the hands-on with the Portswigger labs, and I explained you the topic and the hands-on for that particular session. And I guess that you have understood how you have to can prevent your system if something like that happens, or how you can perform how you can think like an attacker in order to prevent your system from any kind of vulnerability. That was basically the situation if you are stuck in, and how you can check for the company, or how you can check for the particular vulnerability into the website or web app in order to report it to the industry or a company or a website owner, in order to prevent it or prevent them from that particular thing. So I hope that you guys have you guys have understood it, and that is pretty clear to you guys. So moving on further, for today's module we are going to cover up the week 15 content. That is going to be basically about the SQL injection, which was one of the basic topic and the first topic of our previous videos, and in which we have discussed and solved one of the SQL injections lab as well. In the Portswigger lab, the first lab that we covered was SQL injection. If you haven't seen that video yet till now, you can just go back to my YouTube channel and can check out for that particular video and understand how we basically perform SQL injections. And for the upcoming for the more upcoming video sessions and modules, I'll try my best to share some more labs of SQL injection with you guys so that you can understand. And moreover, in this session we are going to cover up the subtopics that are going to be how to exploit SQL in vulnerabilities. In this particular video, I'll be showing you, you can say, a module where we are going to discuss about the, or you can say a write-up where we are going to discuss about the types of SQL injection and SQL vulnerabilities, like in-band SQL, inferential SQL, or out-band SQL injection, and what types come under all those three types of vulnerabilities of SQL. And I'll also show you some examples if I would be able to, and we are going to discuss about the tools. And for the hands-on, we have already covered up the hands-on for one particular lab, but if I'll get some time, I'll definitely try to get back onto the Portswigger and show you the labs, show you the solving of other labs of SQL vulnerability as well. And it will be in the part 2 video. This for this particular thing we are going to cover it in the two parts only. And as I have already said you that this is one of my favorite topic of web app hacking, and we are going to discuss subtopics in it. So that's why I am showing you the hands-on with very much curiosity. So do not miss out any video from week 5 module, because these are really very important. And as we are coming near to the ending of the week 6 module, week 5 module, and then coming to the CEH V13 module ending as well and completion as well. So just stay stuck and stay hanging on there, because we are soon going to cover up all the modules, and after that you guys can go ahead and ask your questions so that I can review all your doubts in one particular video by creating and looking into the problems and the, you can say, the doubts you have, and will cover up. And yes, you guys would be good to go after all this module for the practical exam. And you can ask me the questions regarding the CEH practical exam as well, if you want to. If you want to ask how the questions be like, or you can ask anything. So moving on further, we're going to discuss firstly what are SQL injections. Guys, as we have covered in the OWASP top 10 vulnerability as well, what is SQL injection or what are the injections? Basically, SQL injections are the kind of injections, or you can say the injection, or you can say basically the malicious payloads which are used in order to you can say, which are basically used in order to manipulate, delete, or you can say or you can say what they are. Basically the malicious payloads or queries, you can say, which are used in order to manipulate, delete, or play with the data. And this is one of the most severe vulnerability in onto the any website, because this plays along with the database. This plays along with the database of the web app or website. This this plays along with the database of the data, because we can with the help of this particular thing, with the help of these malicious queries, what can a with the help of these malicious queries, what can an attacker do is an attacker can basically do the authentication bypass, see the data of other users as well, or can modify the data, using unauthorized access, because of the malicious queries, malicious SQL queries, or you can say malicious SQL queries, or SQL injections, malicious SQL injection payloads. So in short definition, if we discuss about SQL injections are basically a kind of malicious queries or payloads which can be used by attackers in order to perform the authentication bypass, or to modify the data of using unauthorized access, or they can see the data, they can see the other users data as well, and modify that data using different payloads, or you can say the queries. That's what basically SQL injection is. And as I have already told you, these SQL injection payloads are very strong, and these are not the commonly found vulnerabilities on the onto the okay, just give me a second. Yeah, onto the these are not the commonly found vulnerabilities onto the web apps, because why now? Because we have all heard about this particular vulnerability of SQL injection, that these are the common web application vulnerability. Yes, they are commonly non web application vulnerabilities, not commonly found vulnerabilities, because it is tough for the people to understand the functioning of a particular web app and understand how the application is working, in order to find out what particular query or malicious payload they can use in order to perform this SQL vulnerability. And that's why exploiting a SQL vulnerability is a difficult task, and it takes up a lot of your brain, and lot of your patience, and lot of your time. So guys, while you're performing any kind of automated tools, or you can say any kind of testing over any web application, do it in a responsible way, because you never know how much of database a company might be losing because of one of your mistake, and what a reputation loss they can face. So do it in a responsible way, do it in a responsible and a respected way, as well as please, it's a request, it's for an educational purpose. Do not perform it for a malicious intent, or do not perform it for the loss of someone else or your profit benefits. It's just for the educational purpose, so please take care of it. As well as I have mentioned, these are not the commonly found vulnerabilities onto the web apps. Because why they are not the commonly found vulnerabilities onto the web apps? Because many people fail to understand, because many people, including me sometimes, because many people fail to understand the functioning of the what basically many people fail to understand the functioning of those web apps, and that would lead them to not easily found, or you can say found the vulnerability, that is SQL injection. So now moving on further, how to exploit SQL vulnerabilities. If we discuss about, we can use different kind of payloads. We can use different kind of kind of payloads. And for now you might be thinking what kind of payloads we can try in order to exploit this vulnerability, or how to perform it. For this basic question, there is one thing that you need to keep on. There are types of SQL injections, types of SQL injection. So when you understand the you can say, yeah, when you understand the working of the web app, it becomes easier for you. It becomes easier for you as and why does it become easier for you? Because you guys might now know that what kind of data it is storing. Data it is because as what data it is storing, it data is stored, or how the data storing, how the you can say manipulation of data is taking place, what tools are used, and many more stuff. And for this particular thing, we are going to now see a write up, or you can say a mm, module, which I have personally found really good. I'll show you that particular, and we'll then discuss that what kind of types are there for this particular vulnerability and how to perform it. So I have opened up here. You can see if types of SQL injection. So moving on here, we would come and we'll see. Just wait for a second to load. Yeah, as you can see, types of SQL injection. SQL injection, it is stating that there are a range of ways to cause serious problem, because because leveraging SQL injection payloads and attackers could bypass, as I have mentioned you, that they could bypass authentication, access, modify, and delete data within a database. I have told you the same thing, right? And as you can see, SQL injection can never be used to execute commands on the even be used to execute the commands on the operating system. Yeah, because there are potential chances that attacker can escalate more damaging attacks inside of a network that sits behind a firewall. If they are able to modify the things behind before the firewall, they can somehow get the authentication, they can bypass the authentication, and after getting an access, they can modify and delete the data within a database or a network. And that's how things work with the help of SQL injection. And now you can see in-band SQL injection, that is also known to be the classic SQL injection. And I have already told you there are several kind of SQL injection, and out of which I stated three SQL injection, which is in-band SQL injection, moving on inferential SQL injection, that is blind SQLi, and then there comes the out of band SQLi. I have mentioned all these three of them to you. Now we'll discuss about each and every one of them, and we'll discuss the types inside them. In band SQLi, there is that is also known to be the classic SQLi. In this particular SQLi, the most common and easy to exploit is uh, it is the most common and easy to exploit SQLi. In-band SQL injection occurs when an attacker is able to use same communication channel to both launch and and gather results. That means basically, what do the attacker do is it uses the same channel to both launch the attack and gather the results. Like you can say, it uses a kind of error-based SQLi and union-based SQLi. If a person is using error-based SQLi, that means the person is trying to enter. Let's just take an example. Let me write it down. For this particular thing, let's just say in error-based SQLi injection, error-based SQLi, what basically an attacker can do, he kept an just give me a second. What an attacker might do, he played with he played he she or you can say attacker, let's just write in attacker just played with the attacker just played with the data, or you can say on the login page, or you can say on the login page, what actually the attacker did is he or she tried to manipulate the use the SQL query onto the onto the onto what? you can say onto the username field, and when the mentioned the attacker mentioned the password as random, any kind of password they have mentioned, and after doing this, when they try to log in, there comes an error, which basically sometimes happen is that developers forgot to change those errors, and in that particular error mentions that your password, just give me mentions that the password entered is wrong or incorrect. That means the username is somehow possibly available and the password you might have entered is wrong, which could lead to an error based SQLi, because the error is representing us that the password is incorrect, whereas a person can brute force or enumerate user or you can user enumerate the username, which can lead to, after brute forcing, which can lead to give us the correct password of that particular username, and we are able to bypass the authentication. That's how error based SQLi works. I hope it is clear and you guys have understood what is basically the error based SQLi and why I have mentioned that it is the most common and easy way to exploit any kind of SQL injection. That's how error based SQLi works. Now moving on further, I'll read the error based SQLi, because we have already discussed that relies on error message thrown by the database server to obtain information about the structure of the data. Look, I have already told you now that the same thing I have told you, that that error message that is thrown by the database, because it was a stupidity of a developer, or you can say guys, do not take if you any one of you is a developer, I'm not saying that you guys the developers are very bad or something like that, they do not work properly. I'm just mentioning that sometimes because of the stupidity or because of the, you can say, not taking enough care of their database, this problem can happen, and in some cases error based SQLi injection alone is enough for an attacker to enumerate the entire database. As I have told you that they can just enumerate the username and can get the hold of a particular whole system, and by doing so they can bypass the authentication. While errors are very useful, and during the development phase of a web application, they should be disabled on a live site. As I mentioned, that in the development phase, it might be possible due to the developers by chance or mistaken, they should be disabled on a live site or logged to a file with the restricted access instead. So that was it for error based SQLi. Moving on further, we have is union based SQLi. In union based SQLi is an kind of technique that leverages union SQL operator. That means they basically use the SQL operator, which is union. We all have studied in maths that there is a symbol of union, that is either U or something like that, and when you combine the results of two or more select statements into a single result, which is then returned as a part of the HTTP response. When we select two or more statements with the help of the union SQL operator and try to return the output, we can see the response in the HTTP header. And that's how we basically get to know about that particular union based SQLi. Guys, just give me a second, I'm getting a call. Just give me a second. So sorry guys, actually I had a call and I have to go for a work a bit. So sorry. Let's just continue with the topic that we were discussing, and we had discussed till the union-based SQLi. So now moving on further, we're going to discuss about the inferential SQLi, that is also known to be the blind SQLi. It's unlike in the in-band SQLi, where it may take longer for an attacker to exploit. However, it is just as dangerous as any other form of SQL injection. No data is actually transferred via web application, and the attacker would not be able to see the results. Whereas in the particular above in-band SQLi, the attacker was able to see the result. As in error based SQLi, I have already told you that the pop-up would come up and it will show an error, which will lead to an attacker to understand how the things are working and how he or she can, or an attacker can basically exploit that vulnerability. But in inferential SQLi, it is blind SQLi injection. Because it is blind, that means the name itself is suggesting that you are not able to see, the attacker won't be able to see the result of an attack that he or she would be exploiting. And moving on further, then it is also of two types, basically blind boolean, or you can say blind time based SQLi. Basically, let me come over here and explain you. Okay, yeah, let's just say blind SQLi types, right? Where we have discussed, number one was, you can say, boolean blind boolean. Guys, boolean, we have all heard of, it's either true or false, or you can say, or one or two, or one or two, or you can say zero, sorry. Yeah, basically it determines whether the output that we are modifying is going to be true or false, that we want it to be true or want it to be false. That's how blind boolean works. Boolean means tell about the particular scenario, that it is true or false. And moving on further, we have is sorry, I write it bling instead of blind. Yeah. Yeah, blind. And after, then there comes the another type of, you can say, blind SQLi type, that is blind, I guess it was time based SQLi, right? Time based. So in this particular thing, what it is, it is dependent on the sleep, or you can say time. Let's just take an example. I mentioned my work to be, or you can say my web app. I I okay, entered a payload for around, just let me see guys if recording is working or not. Yeah, it's continued. Yeah. Blind time based SQL, sleep, mentioned in my web app. I entered a payload for around, you can say, for around sleep for 5 seconds. I want the web app to work and load the page within 5 seconds, or you can also say it as in sleep 10 seconds. That's how things basically work, and you can run the blind SQLi types in a boolean way or a time based way. And same is mentioned over here. I will just read it and we'll see. Look, as I mentioned, boolean based is kind of an injection where the technique relies on sending a SQL query to the database, which forces to return a different result depending on whether the query returns a true or a false result, right? Rather, it could be one or zero result, or it could be a true or false result. That's what basically boolean based is. And we can also change the response in HTTP, and or it would remain the same. That's how things work. And you can return either true or false, though no data from the database is returned, but you can especially or typically see whether it is taking up or not. Moving on further, we have is time based SQLi, which we have already discussed. It is basically specified amount of time in seconds before responding. The response time will indicate the attacker whether the result of the query is true or false after few of the seconds, whether it could be in 5 seconds, it could be in 10 seconds, as I have told you in the uh, um, in above as well, or you can say the before as well. So moving on further, we have this out of band SQLi injection. It is not very common. It is not at all very common, mostly because it depends on feature being enabled on the database server being used by the web application. That means if the feature that we are using onto the web app, that should be either enabled and should not be disabled, and to run the out of band SQL injection, attacker is unable to use the same channel. They need two different channels in order to perform this out of band technique. It is an alternative to inferential time based technique. Basically, we try to run the SQLi techniques, which relies on the database server's ability to make DNS or HTTP requests. So I hope you guys have understood what is basically the SQLi injection and types of SQLi injections, where we discussed about three of the particular SQLi injection and their types, that is in-band, that is also known as classic; inferential, that is also known as blind SQLi; and boolean based, which comprises of two, that is boolean based and time based blind SQLi. Out of band SQLi is the last one that we have discussed right now. And I hope the topic is pretty clear to you guys, and you guys have understood how to perform this, or how to like under manage the things with the SQLi injection. So moving on further, we have is tools. What we are basically going to discuss in the tools is, let me just write it down. Okay, yeah, tools. In basically tools, you can use SQL map on Kali Linux, and on particularly you can use I guess Havij was one of the Havij. It is also one of the new tool that we have came across, and it is also based of Kali Linux only. Kali Linux, yeah. So these are two of the tools that you can use, or you can also use queries in order to perform on the kind of form pages, or you can say any other pages. You can use these tools and understand the working of the if whether the you can say web app is basically, what do we say that particular thing, just give me a second. Yeah, whether the web app is vulnerable to SQL or SQL injection or not, you can check using these tools, and that's how you can exploit the vulnerability. So I hope this topic is clear, and you guys have understood what we have discussed till now. If there is any doubt, you can comment me in the comment section, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. So if you like the video, do subscribe to my channel, guys. If you are new, don't forget to subscribe the channel, like the video, and also share it with your friends and colleagues so that they can also get a benefit out of it. Also, one more thing, as we are coming near to the end of this particular video, guys, please drop down your comment, drop down your doubts as much as you can, because later on if I won't get time and I have to record the video for you guys, I won't be able to do, because I'll have some piece of work in the upcoming future, and that would create a mess for you. If you have your doubts till now, you can just drop me down, I'll make a note of it, and when I'll create a video for review of the topics and the Q&A session, I'll add on your doubts and just reach so that you guys can get understanding of all those doubts. So please drop your doubts as well as your comments and reviews, and I hope to see you in the next video. Till the time, take care guys, bye bye, and see you soon.